Good afternoon, student. For Architecture 113, we continue with more section to talk about the fire and smoke protection. We have 1, 2 feature already, and today we continue with feature number 3. Again with the fire smoke protection, because this one is very important when you design for any building and interior. We need to follow the code, international building code, for make sure that all of the material qualify for fire and smoke protection. Also, we need to design depend on the occupant load and depend on the group from structure. So that's why many requirements from the code for fire and smoke protection. This is very important. So that's why during the course, this one we repeat many times about the fire and smoke protection. We have many chapters to talk about that, and I think that all of you know this is very important in design. You need to read very careful, and when you do assignment, focus on there, because on the midterm I will give a lot of questions in this chapter about the fire smoke protection. So before we continue with that, I need to go to the keywords. Some of them we need to focus for this chapter. We need to learn more about how you do for material, on to you for construction, for the strap enclosure. We need to do for fire resistant roof on floor construction, how you do on the top and the bottom, and what kind from the opening between the wall, and what you learn from 5F rating or T rating, the minimum maximum for fire resistant rate. Basically on this chapter, one more time, we focus on fire and smoke protection, and we go more detail with interior. Before, on feature number 1 and number 2, we learn more about the wall structure, and on the top, on the floor, ceiling, on the roof one, parapet, everything. Usually focus on more exterior one, but today we go more detail on interior one, especially the material and the rate from on of the construction one, opening, what else we can learn from more from why we need to use that one. Follow the course one before you start to design. So many things we can learn from, but today we will focus on some of them. For example, you have elevator, you have dumb waiter, you have mechanical equipment, ventilation, air, or exterior light. And how can you do that? If you have the light and focus on the fire and the smoke protection, you have special material. They call that the material for the exterior light, for make sure that they qualify with outside from the weather with the light, and inside from ventilation and elevator or the dumb waiters. They have some kind like the shaft enclosure, for make sure around that one have special material, and they submit for how many hours for fire before they start to design. One more time with this one, we need to go with the code. We need to look on the chapter. They divide for the occupant load, or what kind of material, what kind, how many hours for fire rating, and sprinkler system required or not in the building. So in this one, they will share with you about that. This is one section cut from the building. You can see that some of the member from the construction, they have penetration, and after that through from the structure, between them you have the ceiling, or you have the soffit, and between them you have penetration also. Fire resistant rate wall. If you have this one is the wall for fire resistant rate, and you need the material on the both side of this one, for make sure that it's qualified with how many hours for the fire resistant. This one you need concern with the group construction, and you need sprinkler and not sprinkler system. Some case, if you have sprinkler system, and you can reduce the hour from the fire resistance rate in this side, the one section. If you have some of the item from mechanical, or you have some limit size from that one, and between them you also have from the material or the crown one, or some of the mortar, some of the construction material is qualified with the one you need to do for this one. In the wall, in the ceiling, in the roof one, any kinds from construction section cut, you need to see for what different on material and which one you need to submit for the fire rate system. This is another one from you can see the section cut from the pipe, and you can see that on of them they say transition from non-combustible to combustible items not permit unless confirmed by testing. That means even they have one item mechanical units, but this start from non-combustible to combustible. They require from the testing before they put it in the building. So you can see this is the IVAC system for the piping, and you see that even each of them have some of them qualify, but some of them they don't need it, but they need to test because they go with the system inside. And this one is, you can see that they have the path of the smoke can go this way, so that's why during the travel from the smoke can go this way. So during this one, any material around that they need to protect for that section. Exterior wall, they have the fire rates already, but on the travel from the smoke can go out through from the system, from the ceiling go to out the roof one. And during that one, if you have some material on there, you need to qualify from protect from the smoke. Some of the section cut, you can see protect between both sides to the vertical one, and after that in the horizontal you need to do same thing for ceiling and the floor. And you see both sides we need to do fire rates, and after that on the vertical one you can the space between them you need to protect with the fire also. So that's why even you have the design ready, but you need to go with the code for make sure that what kind of the group construction, what is the material special for smoke and the fire, and after that where the position from in the building in vertical or horizontal, and they need to submit for that one the fire rate. If you have some opening, for example the door, and you need to have the label for fix, and this one in the door for example, and this one you need to have the label for the name for manufacturer, and which one they, if they have fire protection, they need to put the label over there for make sure that everything for fire door assembly they need to show which one they use for the fire rate material right there for make sure everyone qualify for that. This is the table to let you know that for the fire protect assembly they have the testing material, which one you need to follow, what group from construction, and how many hour for fire rate. If you have sprinkler or not sprinkler, what change from that one. Usually if you have the sprinkler system, you can reduce from the hour from less than the regular fire rate system. This is one of the door. They have the lasing label with 4 part identify. They need to put like this for D for apply for the fire door assembly. This is the fire door assembly, and X meet with the hose stream requirement, the meet T for temperature requirement, and after that triple X for fire protection. For example, this is the exit door, and on of the material on the door should be qualified with the fire protection rate. This is the chapter. They focus on the closing door. Automatic closing door should be accurate by the smoke detection. The door in the wall should be qualified for some of them for the exit door with the closing, and they need to have installed the fire barrier. They have the smoke partition. They have the access to the discharge room, and they have the shaft enclosure, they have the firewall, they have partition, and they have the smoke barrier. So that means on of the door with automatic closing door, they should have do on of this one for the qualify for the smoke detector. This is another section cut. You can see how the smoke damper and after that the smoke detector, they work on the ceiling level. So you can see that's with the duct coming there, the duct. You can see they have the maximum distance between the damper to the smoke one for make sure that's on of the smoke barrier door or the smoke damper is inside there. They have the distance for make sure that they work together to have protect from the fire and the smoke. This is the duct and some of the section cut, so you can see that's how the duct system and they go with the damper, and after that with the wall. This is the wall and upper ceiling, so you can see they can work like this. And on the material here, of course, they have the smoke detector, and they combine work together with the fire and the smoke damper. This is the section cut from the house. Even 3 level, they not required for the in a single drilling unit. They not required for fire resistance rate. However, between them in the furnace system, you can go to the air, submit for on of the level, and each of the part, the fire damper, they need to do for the protect annual space. They have the space between them to protect for the fire. So that's why even they not required for to do the resistance rate. However, the material for you do the furnace and you do sum up the mechanic to go with submit for on of the level, they have the fire damper between them, and they have the protect space between the duct and the fire damper. This is some of the material. They ask for fire damper 1.5 hours when you do second cut like this, and after that you can see the wall right here. They have 2 hour fire barrier, 2 hour fire barrier, and an access for the door. If you look like that, you can see the mechanical system, the duct go with the door, and after that we have 2 hour for barrier between the close from the door, and after that for the duct system. So there is 1.5 hours fire damper right there, and they have 2 hours for barrier between the door, so access door. This is some of materials. You can see how can they set up. If you have the soffit right here and the fire block right outside from the soffit, and if you have the cover ceiling or you have the drop ceiling, same thing. We have to submit for the fire block in there before you go with the section from the ceiling one. This is another section for you can see the platform framing, how they do the fire block between the level ceiling to in the wall. So you can see the red block right here, and after that they submit for fire block between them. This is the drop stop, and the other thing, when you see the truss system, the drop stop is right there at the center for make sure that's on the layer between the ceiling. They have the unable space below, and they have floor ceiling assembly, and this one between them they have some drop stop, and this one of course they have the required. If they have no greater than 1000, they need to submit for the drop stop between them. Okay, so basically one more time, this chapter we go again with more detail for on of the section cut from the building inside. How can you set up the smoke detector, the damper, and the shaft enclosure inside them? Which one you need to qualify for on up the interior, the material inside, for make sure that they have protect between fire and smoke detector, especially in the exit door. This is very important because this one is the one for a lot of people can get out in case. So that's why the exit door they need to qualify for make sure everything is will be good for save people in case if fire happen. And fire with the smoke it usually go inside from the house. So if the smoke a lot, it can make damage for the people. And after that, the fire, same thing. So that's why smoke and fire protection, it should be qualified with the code before you start to do everything inside from the house. The chapter is from fire and smoke detector is very important. So I suggest that you go more reading for this one and ready everything before you give the answer. Email back to me. I need you read careful and give me the answer. And on the midterm will be next month. I will give a lot of questions in this chapter. That means fire and the smoke protection. Feature 1, 2, 3. Thank you for watching and see you next time.